Hello, my name's Joe Kelly. I'm Iowa HBPA Vice President, and I'm here today to introduce our keynote speaker. It's Iowa's Lieutenant Governor, Adam Gregg. Prior to his current position, Adam earned his BA from Central College in 2006. He graduated first in his class with degrees in political science and history and played football for the Dutch. He graduated in 2009 with honors, high honors, from Drake University Law School, where he received the institution's prestigious Opperman Scholarship. While at Drake, he earned the faculty's William and Ellen Cooney Hoy Award, given to individuals who demonstrate the greatest promise as an advocate, public servant, and a practitioner. Gregg was also chosen as the Iowa Supreme Court Scholar and was a staff member for the Drake Law Review. From 2013 and 14, Gregg served in the office of the governor of Iowa for our beloved Terry Branstad. He served in that position as a legislative liaison and a public policy advisor. At this time is when the Horsemen first got to know Adam, and we were exposed to him. And it's been a pleasure getting to know Adam over this period of time. He was a Republican nominee for the Attorney General in 2014, and we'll never forget his AG for AG tagline. He was the closest opponent ever against former Attorney General Tom Miller in 30 years, until our current Attorney General, Brenna Byrd. Gregg went on to serve as the state public defender in a position he was appointed to in 2014. In that role, Adam led a 220 employee organization, was focused on constitutional rights and counsel for Iowans. He modernized the agency, brought it on the processes online, improving the efficiencies, and looking at ways to detect fraudulent claims and protect the taxpayer dollars. He also created a new division to investigate potential wrongful convictions in the criminal justice system. All that leading up to Adam now serving as Iowa's 47th Lieutenant Governor for Governor Kim Reynolds. In this role, he is also the chair of the Governor's Focus Committee on Criminal Justice Reform and co-chair for the Governor's Empower Rural Iowa initiatives. In addition, at the national level, Adam serves on the executive committee for the National Lieutenant Governors Association and is chair for the Republican Lieutenant Governors Association. He has also served as the Hunt Keene Leadership Fellow, focused on leadership and education policy, and was chosen for the Aspen Institute Rodell Fellowship. Finally, Adam resides in Urbandale with his wonderful wife, Carrie, their son, Jackson, their daughter, Lauren. He and his family are active members and volunteers of the Johnson River of Life United Methodist Church. He serves on the board of trustees for the Hoover Presidential Foundation, on the Iowa State Fair Board, and he's also coached his son's flag football team and his daughter's basketball team. Last fall, I had the privilege of visiting with Adam out at the Governor's Fall Festival down at the fairgrounds, Harvest Festival. I kind of made a mistake because I offered to get him into the horse racing business and put him in a partnership on a horse. Then I invited him out to the farm to bring the family out and meet some of the horses. So I'm going to kind of do it backwards today. I'm going to give him a public invitation and tell him to leave his checkbook at home. I'm not going to try and sell him a horse, but Lori and I are going to open up our farm, and we've got some nice foals out there, and we know all kids and foals go together, and we'd like you to bring your family out and see the horses. With that, if everybody could please help me give a warm welcome, Lieutenant Adam Gregg.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to serve you in the role of Lieutenant Governor. Let me start out by saying that Governor Kim Reynolds sends her regards. She's not able to be here today, but I want you to know how honored and proud I am to represent her, represent our team, and represent our state here with you today. Joe Kelly, thank you for that very nice introduction, and thanks for your leadership in the industry. You all can understand how hesitant I am to take him up on that offer. With an 11-year-old daughter, if I go to visit his farm, I feel like I will definitely end up buying a horse after that. And I want to be very intentional about a decision like that. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to John Moss, the Executive Director of the Iowa Horsemen's Benevolent and Protective Association, for the invitation to be here today. As you all probably know, John is a wealth of information. And the good news about that is I know that I can turn to him for anything I want to know about your industry. But the bad news is he'll also tell me all the stuff I didn't want to know either. He's going to tell me that anyways. But John has been a friend for a very long time, and he does a great job for you representing your interests and making sure that policymakers understand the issues that are at stake. My main job here today is to say, welcome to Iowa, and thank you for having your conference here in our state. Now, when you think of Iowa, you probably think of agriculture and rolling fields of corn and soybeans. And you know what? You're right. We're number one in the country in production of corn, number one in pork production, number one in egg production, number one in both ethanol and biodiesel. And we're among the leaders in soybean production, beef production, dairy production, and many other metrics. Leading companies in the world conduct their ag research here and develop amazing seed technology that improves drought resistance, productivity, and improves water quality by requiring less nutrient application. We raise livestock and process much of that meat here for consumption in the United States and also around the world. And we develop biofuels that allow us to rely on farmers in the Midwest instead of dictators in the Middle East. For all these reasons, we say in Iowa, we feed and fuel the world. And of course, we're also glad to be home to ag-adjacent industries like yours. But did you know that we're also a lot more than agriculture as well? In fact, the largest portion of our GDP is manufacturing. We're a global insurance hub with hundreds of insurance companies that are domiciled here. We're home to data centers for major technology companies like Google, Microsoft, Apple, and just up the road is a large data center for Facebook. Des Moines is the home to minor league affiliates of the Chicago Cubs, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Minnesota Wild hockey team. And Iowa has been recognized as the #1 state for opportunity, the #1 most fiscally responsible state in the country, the #1 state to retire in, #2 for healthcare, and I could go on and on. And I will say, with apologies to some of your states and states like Kentucky and Maryland and New York and others, we're also home to the highest stakes horse race of all, the world famous Iowa caucuses, where we help winnow the field in our presidential nominating process and help choose the next leader of the free world. So by the way, don't be surprised if a rumor starts that one of you's running for president because you spent some time here in Iowa. That happens occasionally. In any event, I hope you get the opportunity to experience some of what Iowa and Des Moines has to offer while you're here in town. We're here today to celebrate not just a sport, but an industry and an organization that has woven itself into the fabric of our great state, the racehorse industry. For decades, this industry has not only entertained us with thrilling races and moments of sheer exhilaration, but it's also contributed significantly to our economy, our communities, and our heritage. Thank you to the Iowa Horsemen's Benevolent and Protective Association for hosting this event here in Iowa. I know that a lot goes into hosting these types of national meetings. So one little update from that biography, I'm actually the chairman of the National Lieutenant Governors Association this year, which is our bipartisan group for all 50 seconds in command from all across the country. And last year at about this time, I had the opportunity to host a national meeting around the state fair. And boy, there's a lot of work that goes into something like this, but it's worth it to be able to show off our great state. And I know the same is true today. I'm sure we've all been impacted by these travel challenges that happen, but I know that throughout our time here, there's going to be representatives from at least 24 affiliates from Canadian provinces. Just know that we are glad to have you here, and we welcome you with open arms. Your local affiliate, the HBPA, does a great job promoting and advocating for your industry. And I understand that there are over 1,200 owner and trainer members who absolutely love racing their horses here in our state. And I mentioned earlier that your team is definitely a wealth of information. They provided me with some good economic stats to prove my case here. The horse racing industry is an important contributor to our economy. And so the most up-to-date information we've got is that there's over 3,000 employees that are in the racing industry and an economic impact measured in the hundreds of millions. Now you zoom out and look at that nationally, and we're measuring that in the tens of billions of dollars. The facility that we're in right now, Prairie Meadows, recently celebrated its 35-year anniversary, and much of its success has been driven by the unique offering of horse racing. So just think of the impact of this facility. It's also measured in the hundreds of millions and perhaps billions over the course of that time. So this industry is such an important contributor to our economy. From the fertile plains to the bustling tracks, every hoofbeat echoes a story of dedication, passion, and perseverance. The jobs created, the businesses supported, and the tourism fostered all bear testament to this industry's vitality and its resilience. Central to this success has been your national organization, the Horsemen's Benevolent and Protective Association, an organization steadfast in its commitments to the welfare of horses and the livelihoods of those who care for them. The HBPA stands as a pillar of support for horsemen across the nation, advocating for fair treatment, safety, and the integrity of the sport. Having been established over 80 years ago by a handful of horsemen, HBPA now has grown into a powerhouse with around 30,000 members nationally. That's incredible, covering more than half the country and Canada. So thank you for your great work, and again for bringing your conference to Iowa. I also want to talk a bit about the philanthropic support that the HBPA provides. Here in Iowa, your organization has been instrumental in promoting responsible horse racing practices, ensuring that races are not only thrilling, but also conducted with the highest standards of care and ethics. Through their initiatives, your organization have fostered a community where horsemen thrive, where horses are well cared for, and the fans can enjoy a sport that they love with confidence. Iowans are also appreciative of your efforts to care for racehorses after their careers are over through the creation of Heart, Hope After Racing Thoroughbreds, ensuring that horses are able to transition into a permanent home following their racing career. Beyond the races themselves, the HBPA's impact extends into our communities as well. Through charitable endeavors, education programs, and partnerships with local businesses, they enrich the lives of countless individuals and families. You all embody that spirit of giving back and ensuring that the benefits of this industry are felt far and wide. We were just having a side conversation earlier, but a recent example of this here in Iowa is that the Iowa chapter hosted a partnership with Vision to Learn to provide a mobile vision clinic for backside workers. And I understand the same has been true on the dental side as well. Just a few of the many examples of the way you and your industry give back to the communities that they impact. Here in Iowa, Governor Reynolds and I work very hard to be partners by providing a stable regulatory environment for you to operate in through our efforts to reduce taxes and to grow our workforce. And you know, we've got a great story to tell here in Iowa. When it comes to income taxes, when Governor Reynolds and I were sworn in May of 2017, we had the 6th highest income tax rate in the country. And now we're going to be down to the 5th lowest in the country as we make our way to a 3.8% flat tax. We've worked to rein in property taxes and to provide smaller, smarter, more effective and efficient state government. All of Iowa benefits from those efforts, but your industry benefits specifically as well, especially with state guaranteed 67 days of racing, minimum purse amounts, and Iowa bred supplements for our state breds. We've got so many great things going on here, but let me just close with this. Probably the most famous movie ever made in Iowa is Field of Dreams. And it's kind of had a resurgence lately now that they're hosting Major League Baseball games at the original Field of Dreams up near Dubuque. Probably the most famous line from that movie, there's a couple of them, but probably the most famous one is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. Y'all remember that line? But you know, the rest of that exchange with Kevin Costner's character is profound and relevant. He asked the ghost player, who's actually his dad, as it turns out. That's a spoiler. I hope I didn't ruin the movie for anybody. But he asked his dad whether heaven exists. And the ghost player responds, "Oh yeah, it's the place where dreams come true." Well, Kevin Costner's character looks at his ball field that he created when everyone said he was crazy. He looks at the rolling cornfield beyond it. He looks at his wife and daughter on the porch of his beautiful home, and he replies, "Well, maybe this is heaven." I'm not saying you need to come and plow under a cornfield to build a baseball diamond, but really, you can build an incredible life here in Iowa. You can build something that's uniquely yours, a business, a nonprofit, and a life of your own. You can build a family and provide great opportunities for your kids. You can live in a peaceful place and impact your community through service. You can have it all, maybe even a little piece of heaven. So as we look to the future, let's continue to work together to support and celebrate Iowa's racehorse industry and the vital role played by organizations like HBPA. Together, we can uphold the legacy of this cherished sport, ensuring that it continues to inspire, entertain, and contribute to the prosperity of our beloved state and our nation. You definitely live up to the line, horsemen helping horsemen. So with that, thank you for inviting me here today. Thank you again for choosing Iowa for your conference. And thank you to all of those who make Iowa's racehorse industry a source of pride and joy for us all. Thank you and have a great conference.